Okay, so you've been hearing all kinds of stuff about how awesome Persona 5 is, but you might be asking yourself, what the heck is this game? And why is everyone raving about it so much? And why is there a talking cat? Look, there are a lot of questions to be had, especially if you're not familiar with the whole series of the games. Alice's new entry in the Persona franchise is out next week to rave reviews, by the way, and follows up one of the most critically acclaimed Japanese RPGs of all time in the form of Persona 4's Vita Enhanced Edition Persona 4 Golden. Persona 5 releases on April 4th for PlayStation 4, and we're here to break down everything you need to know about the game before you go out and try it for yourself. So, if you're completely unaware of the Persona series, you're not alone. These games are RPGs in the truest sense of the term. Each one puts you in the role of an unnamed character, and you're basically in charge of living their life with choices about how you spend your time. As with the previous two games in the series, Persona 5 has you spending the day balancing going to school and hanging out with friends, while at night you hop into the otherworldly metaverse to go on heists and fight demons. The game takes place over the course of a calendar year, with certain story-related events happening on set days. It's up to you to figure out how to spend the time in between and how to best prepare for battle in the real world. The game's activities range from spending time with friends, studying for class, doing chores, watching movies, traveling around Tokyo, and getting a part-time job, if you so choose. Each of these activities will boost your core stats in various ways or give you some other side benefit that helps you out for your activities in the metaverse. And the most interesting part of all this is that you can only engage in a certain number of activities per calendar day with dozens of choices, so it'll be up to you to manage your schedule and boost the right stats before you hop into the metaverse. The basic setup of the game is the same, but Persona 5's story does set it apart from some of the other games in the series. While Persona 4 was more about solving a murder mystery with your Scooby-Doo-like band of friends, Persona 5 is all about capers and heists. The story focuses on the 16-year-old protagonist, nicknamed Joker, after he is transferred to a new school in Tokyo, Japan, following his expulsion from his rural school. That expulsion was due to being framed for a crime by a corrupt politician. At 16, you already made him mad. Good work. Now, the main character has to stay out of trouble for a year at his new school, and then he can be reinstated. But of course, things don't go as planned, and the main character soon makes new friends who also have a troublemaking streak and discover that they can enter another world, the metaverse, where they cleanse the hearts of evil people before they commit heinous acts. This causes that same person in the real world to change their ways. So the group forms the heisting team known as the Phantom Thief of Hearts, and the game's story is properly underway as they tackle bigger heists in the metaverse. Now, the real meat of the game, aside from the various ways that it tries to replace your life with a simulated version, comes through combat. On the surface, combat looks like your standard RPG fare. It's turn-based with up to 4 party members joining you at any time for battle. There are your standard battle attacks, but Persona's system typically relies on exploiting enemy weaknesses to knock them down and cause even more damage. This is increased exponentially by chaining combos together with your party members. Now, you also have access to personas, which are sort of, well, think of them like supernatural Pokemon that give you a number of other abilities to use in battle. Each of your party members has their own persona, but you've got access to a handful at any one time. A part of the addictive nature of this franchise is combining personas to make new ones, sometimes with really surprising results and fewer weaknesses and even greater strengths. All of that is still present in Persona 5, although the way you capture personas works a little bit differently this time around, because Persona 5 brings back negotiating with demons to get them to join your side. That happens through a set of dialogue options in battle. Once you knock your enemies down, you'll have a chance to surround them and basically hold them up, demanding items or their allegiance. Afterwards, you'll have to figure out what to say in order to recruit your persona and grow your collection. One way to improve your party and your chances in battle is to grow the bonds of friendship with the other characters. In Persona 4, this was known as your social link rating, but in Persona 5, the system is back with a new name, Confidants. Hanging out with your friends in the real world will improve their Confidant rating, giving you new abilities in battle and more opportunities to link up for better damage. Another new feature in Persona 5 is that your in-game maps and menus will let you know which of these friendships you're on the verge of ranking up at any given time, which should make the decision easier when you're trying to balance all the things to do in the game. If you ever find yourself stuck on what you should do on a given day in the game, remember, you've only got a limited calendar to work with, and you can only knock out a handful of activities each day. Another useful feature in Persona 5 is polling online users to see what activities other players did on the same calendar date, just in case you're feeling a little bit decisive and you need a lifeline. One helpful tip to know before playing Persona 5 is that it will be impossible, not possible, to do every last thing and build up every last social interaction. So don't stress too much about what to do, just figure out what your priorities are, do those first before working on any other stats. All those stats are ultimately getting built up, so you can fight your way through the game's major dungeons, which are known in Persona 5 as palaces. Rather than procedurally generated dungeons of the past, Persona 5 makes a big change by having each dungeon specially built. Since each one focuses on a particular villain in the game and their particular sin, each one is tailored for the story, providing unique gameplay opportunities. And since these are all heists into the person's heart, there's a focus on stealth. You'll be sneaking through the dungeon, trying to avoid getting spotted unnecessarily by enemies. Every time you get seen before you attack, the alert meter raises 15% and then drops by 5% when you win the encounter. Once the alert meter gets too high, the dungeon will boot you out and you'll have to come back another day, which costs you some of those precious activities in the real world. When you want to just grind and build your level, you can do that. You can visit Mementos, the shadow world of Shibuya Station, to fight away to your heart's content. Now, as far as DLC goes, there are a ton of goodies announced. However, most of these are cosmetic items only and won't be adding any playable sections to the story. In total, there's about $70 worth of DLC if you want to dish out the money for it. It mostly includes outfits and background music from former Persona games, but there will be free DLC as well, including outfits and even a new difficulty mode. Persona 5 is, of course, it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive. However, as far as any upgrades to the PS4 Pro version, Atlus hasn't really commented on that. The game's already been out in Japan since late last year, and there hasn't been any PS4 Pro specific support for it in that territory. So that about does it for our look at everything you need to know about Persona 5. If you want to see how the critics have received it, spoiler alert, they received it very well. We do have an Is It Good? We'll link that in the end slate for you. And if you want to get a better idea about all the modes and the stories and so on for other big games that are coming out, make sure you check out more videos in our Know Before You Go series.
Where did you learn to hack?
I refuse to answer.
To trick your enemies, you first gotta trick your allies. I'll navigate your escape route. Follow my directions.
I'm going to trust my own eyes and my own heart to distinguish the truth from the lies.
Here come the bugs!